I thought it would be fun to do a 2025 year in review. I saw Alex Earl do this type of video and I thought that would be really interesting to go through the highs and lows of this year and kind of go through it chronologically and live through those memories all over again. So to jump right into it, from the best of my ability, I went through some photos, videos, and kind of remembered the highs and lows that I've had during the year. So jumping right into January. The first thing I did was I got a scholarship to go to a cardiothoracic conference in Los Angeles. It was an all expenses paid trip. There were some paid meals, the flight was paid, the hotel was paid, which was really awesome because flying across the country to Los Angeles and staying there for 3 nights would have been super expensive as a student, so that was amazing, and I was connected to mentors. I met other students that are interested in cardiothoracic surgery, so overall it was an incredible experience, and it was my first time in Los Angeles as well. A January low was I got into a hit and run situation where somebody hit my car and then drove away, and so I had a dent in my car. I came out to it from my apartment and saw it, and it was kind of sad. February, I finished family medicine, started in January, finished in February because we have 6 weeks rotations. Family med was a lot of fun and I would say pretty easy as a rotation. I think that's also when I completed all my VSLO application stuff and kind of got all of my schedule in order of where the places were going to be that I was going to apply to, and kind of figured out that entire like Excel spreadsheet of programs that I'm interested in, programs that I'm interested in doing some internships at. March, I got to go see the new school building. University of New England opened up a whole new building and moved the medical school from Biddeford into Portland, which is amazing, and the building was so beautiful. It's so well laid out. Everything is just planned out in such a smart way for the students, and I got to go to that reception. I saw a lot of friends there, and it was just a lot of fun dancing, eating a lot of yummy food, seeing the building. Super fun. March, I also finished my psych rotation. This was a little difficult for me. I didn't think it was going to be. I really enjoyed psych. Like my entire life, I was a psych minor. I really thought that psych was maybe one of those things that I would even go into, but being in the psychiatric facility was a little difficult, I think, for me mentally and emotionally, so very happy when that was finished. April, I think I was kind of just cruising with my rotations and studying. I did hang out with a lot of my friends though, so that was a lot of fun. May, I played a tennis tournament, randomly on a whim got asked to play. It was super fun. I came back to playing tennis. I played a bunch of matches. All my injuries came back and I remembered why I don't play tennis anymore. But we did win that tournament and it was a lot of fun. A lot more hangouts with my friends. Passed my final OSCE, went to Maine, took a road trip with some of my friends. That was a lot of fun. Back to Maine, did our OSCE, which is just like a pretend patient encounter that you do, which is kind of funny to do in the middle of the year after you've been seeing real patients for now almost an entire year, and then you have to do it on pretend patients. But past that, so that was good. And in May, I finished OB-GYN. OB-GYN was also a lot of fun, more interesting I think than I thought I expected it to be, and I liked the OR stuff more than like the deliveries, so I think it kind of played into my interests because I got to be in the operating room again, so I did enjoy that. June was really fun. I got to see my best friend get married in France, and because of that I also got to plan a 3-country Euro trip where we went from Denmark to Switzerland to France. And that was very stressful to do in the middle of studying and rotations and having to plan that and figure out my visa, but it was so worth it. And again, I got to see my best friend get married and it was just amazing. I was crying the entire time and it was so beautiful and just so much joy and happiness. So best time ever. In June, I also finished peds, and then finally I was done with all of my 3rd-year rotations and I was ready for boards. And in June, I took Comlex 2. July, I pushed a step back into July and ended up taking it in July. So I took Comlex 2, then step 2. July, I also moved into my new apartment, my first time living alone in Jersey, and it was so nice. This is like all I could wish for in my first solo apartment. I had an amazing apartment building. I was in the studio. I had amazing amenities from the sauna to a cold plunge to a steam room, a gym, a patio, and I also moved into this building when it was a completely new build, so nobody else was here, so I was basically having all these amenities and really nice things to myself, and this building's still not really moved into, so it's really nice to be able to go to the gym and no one's using the machines. July, I also got to go to a really big soccer game here in Jersey. I got to watch Chelsea play. Chelsea is my boyfriend's favorite team. It's also become my favorite team. There's a Kazakh player who's from my country who's going to be joining the team next year, so it was really fun to watch such a big event here in the US, kind of like as a lead up to the World Cup, so that was also very exciting. And then I also got to go see Rufus Yesoul with my friends, also the biggest concert, kind of like solo concert that I've been to, apart from like really big festivals. It was also in a stadium, so people all around, it was huge, it was a lot of fun, confetti, lights, lasers. The best part was just being around my friends again and kind of getting back into concerts after studying and rotations and boards. August was the first time that I won the soccer league with the team that I've been playing on, this like league that I've been on. It literally took us like a year since I've joined the team to win, so it was so exciting because a year of like all that hard work and playing paid off, so that was so fun. It was my first time going to a Mets game. It was also my first time going to the US Open. A lot of sports for me this year, a lot of new things in sports for me this year, so love that because I love sports. It was also the first time I was invited to do a podcast, and I did a podcast with med school headquarters. I used to listen to their podcast the pre-med years when I was a pre-med, and I was using it as like my Bible in order to help me get into medical school, and now they have this whole new segment which is the medical school years, and so I got to go on it and kind of share my experience and my opinions, and that was so cool. It was such a full circle moment to be invited into that when I was such a loyal listener, and they helped me so much, so hopefully I was also able to help some people along the way, and that was an incredible opportunity. I'm so grateful, and I was also completely out of my comfort zone. I was so nervous. That was my first time like being interviewed, like online over like Zoom basically. I can tell you that that was really good prep for my residency interviews, because majority of my residency interviews were virtual, and I kind of started getting the hang of it, so it was kind of like a trial run. But yeah, definitely out of my comfort zone, and I'm glad I did it. August, I also started my first sub-internship of 4th year, and it was in cardiothoracic surgery. That was very difficult. That was probably the most difficult rotation mentally and emotionally that I've had this entire year up to now. That's a story for another time, but definitely happy I got through that, proud of myself that I got through it until the end. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. September, I had another sub-internship. This one was in colorectal surgery. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. It was very busy, but it was a lot of fun. I think that was the rotation that I can say I worked the hardest on. So I'm proud of that as well. I got to go to the Big E Festival with all of my friends. It's kind of become a yearly tradition, so it's always so nice to reunite with them and eat a bunch of terrible, fatty, fried food, but so much fun. And then September, I submitted all my residency apps, all 120 of them. That was also an exhausting process. Personal statement, filling out that whole application, really just another beast of its own, and I was so happy to have that submitted. October, another sub-internship, my last one. I've only had 3. This one was in vascular surgery, also very different than what I've expected. Also so happy to be done with sub-internships at this point, and originally I planned for more, but I ended up only having 3, and I think it was a blessing in disguise because they are so insanely difficult that 3 was enough for me. October, I also went to my first Major League Soccer game. I don't know how I've never been to one, but I went with some of my friends, and again, another first for sports. I also got to travel down to Florida. I presented some research at a regional cardiothoracic conference, got to meet up with more friends, and it was so much fun to be in Florida and have really nice weather and just kind of hang out, listen to research, and mess around, and it was a great time. I went to a really good Tiesto concert. This is a highlight. It was a 3-hour set, sunset set in Brooklyn. I think it was probably one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. Tiesto like outdid himself. He is amazing. He's always been, but that was the best I've ever seen him play, and for 3 hours long, that time flew by. October is also when I had my first YouTube video go viral. It was a short, and it went up to 1 million views really quick. I think now it's probably over 2 million, if not 2.5 million views. And it's funny because I actually posted that video right before going to my conference in Florida. And from all the views on that video, I actually ended up making enough money to then finance my trip to Florida, which was incredible. November, this is when invites started coming in, and I got my first residency interview, and then actually majority of my residency interviews, I scheduled all of them for November. Now that it's December, I'm done with majority of my interviews. I only have one left. And so it's really awesome to be on this other side of it as well, because interviews are a lot of fun. You get to talk about yourself, you get to talk about your accomplishments, you reminisce on things. If you enjoy talking to people, if you enjoy learning about them or about things or about programs, it's just a conversation, and you're just getting to know each other. But at the same time, it is very exhausting, and the questions that they ask, the ones that are like very textbook and very tailored, they are difficult to answer. There's a lot of ethics questions. You know, you have to know your resume in and out because they could ask you on anything, even research that you did like 10 years ago. So happy to be done with that. Can't wait for my last one to be over because that's going to be another chapter closed. November is also when I finally finished scheduling all of my rotations for 4th year. They don't tell you how difficult this part is. I'm only going to speak really for my school, but I go to a DO school. I don't really get a lot of support in scheduling 4th year rotations, even the core ones like emergency medicine, family medicine, internal medicine. And so I was finding these things on my own. I was cold emailing, I was calling clinics, I was asking if they take students, and it was really stressful to be doing that while still trying to do your best at every rotation that you were at, especially sub-internships and balancing interviews. And your future is uncertain because you have to graduate, but you can't find a rotation for yourself. So I know some schools help their students a lot more with finding rotations, but that wasn't the case for me. So finally having all of that planned was a huge weight off my shoulders. November, I also got to go to a couple of influencer events. This was the first time ever for me. This was never an expectation when I started YouTube or social media. So they are a lot of fun, and every time I got to go, I was extremely grateful because I know I am a small channel and this is not a given at all. But the first one I actually got invited to by a friend from TikTok, and she was hosting like a tennis wellness kind of like Pilates event at a Wilson pop-up store. So it was a crossover, and I got to go, I got to work out, I met other tennis players, which was really fun, and kind of saw the store for the first time and all the new stuff that Wilson has out. That was a lot of fun, and that was the first one that I went to. The second one I personally got invited to from YouTube, which thank you so much to YouTube. It was a creators event, and it was for the premiere of Wicked. So I got to go to New York City, and I got to bring a friend, and I watched the premiere a couple days before it was released on the general screens, and they did such an amazing job of organizing it and making it look really nice and providing us with snacks and just making like a very warm environment. And I got to meet other YouTube creators as well, so it was a really fun way to mingle. So again, thank you, it was so fun. And then finally, we are in December, which is now. December, I did my first second look. I have a couple of these still planned for next year, but that was the first. I also started writing a book. I talked a little bit about it in the shorts that I put out and on TikTok, but I've always had this dream that one day I was going to write a novel. I just never got around to it because of course it is so time consuming, and I think I just never really had an idea that I would have been able to put into an entire book. And I don't even know if this idea that I had is exactly it as well, but I thought might as well pursue it now, because 4th year you do have a lot more time than you had your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd years of medical school. And I thought, well, better thing to do than to try and achieve something new and achieve this dream and kind of put my brain and my imagination to the test. So I started working on that. I'm still working on it. I'm still just doing like the basic outlines and stuff, but I'm really hopeful that maybe I could have a first draft out by the time that I start residency, which would be super cool if I could have drafted an entire basically novels worth. And this idea came to me in a dream. So I get like very vivid dreams and I dream pretty much every night. And sometimes I get these dreams that I'm like, wow, this would be amazing as a book or a movie. And I'm hoping that this idea is like that. So follow along and we'll see if I ever get this book to the end. And then now I only have about a week left of this month, but I am moving out of this apartment. I've been here for 6 months. It's been incredible. It's been my hub for 4th year. 4th year is very difficult because you are traveling every month. You're at a new program, you're at a new rotation, and people like bounce off each other's couches and they stay with family or they get Airbnbs or places for a month. And I really wanted to have one place because I'm very like routine focused. So I really wanted to have a hub that I would be able to come back to and have my routine and my place and like all my furniture, all my clothes, and not live out of a suitcase. And it was amazing that I was able to schedule all my rotations in a way that fell around my living space and I didn't have to sleep on couches or spend money on Airbnbs. So that consistency was very crucial for me. And now I'm getting ready to move out. You should see all the boxes that are currently flooding the floor. But I'm very excited for the next chapter. And yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, I realized I didn't really talk about the lows. I think it's because as a person in general, I do a really good job of focusing on the highs and not really staying stagnant on the lows. So I think I actually end up forgetting a lot of the lows that I've had because I just trained my brain as like a tennis player. You're trained to get over bad points really quickly. They tell you to forget it and leave it all in the past. So I think I've gotten in the habit of doing that when something negative happens, of kind of just like leaving it behind and moving forward, because what else are you going to do? But just to list some of the negatives that I have had, like I mentioned, my rotation, my first sub internship in August was really difficult for me for a lot of reasons, and that's a story that I'll probably touch on later. It's just a lot to share right now, but that was a very difficult month for me, like very difficult. I had my 2 boards exams and I didn't do as well as I wanted to do on both of them, and that's also a story for another time. That was also a very difficult time. Getting interviews from programs that you expected to get interviews at and not getting them, not getting as many interviews as I thought I could or would have gotten. Those were also some of the lows that I've had. I am very happy with the programs that have offered me interviews, and I'm very excited for the rank list that I have, and I'm very hopeful for the ones, you know, that I have at the top. So I'm definitely not complaining about that, but it is hard when interviews are coming in one by one, and it's very stressful when you're not seeing you know, what you thought you were gonna see. I think also living alone in my apartment, again, this was the first time that I was living alone. I felt lonelier, I think, than I usually would. I'm so used to having family around when I lived at home. I've always had roommates, so I'm just used to having like a hustle and bustle around me, and I didn't have that. And so there were times where I would feel lonely and I didn't know what to do. I definitely miss that like connection from friends, and it's difficult because 4th year everyone's all over the place, so there's not a consistent, you know, one place for you and your friends to hang out and meet. The other negative that I can think of is just how frustrating Yesoul was. That is like a program that needs to be like destroyed or something, because the way you spend money per program, per rotation to try and secure a rotation for yourself for 4th year, and then you get ghosted, you don't get it, even though you apply early as soon as it opens, and you think, you know, what else, like you think you're gonna get it and then you don't get it. It messes up your entire schedule. There are programs that are their weeks don't match up with other programs, so then it also doesn't work for your schedule, or you get offered rotations on the same month and then you have to say no to one, and then you have months and months open, but then 1 month is just occupied by like 2 or 3 rotations. That process is so awful, and they need to figure something out because it's just dreadful to go through. Those are genuinely the biggest lows that I can think of. The small little like petty things that come up, I you know, are not big enough to voice, but those were the hardest parts of the year, and I'm really happy to see that there were a lot more happy things, a lot more accomplishments, a lot more things that kind of got me out and trying new things. Yeah, a lot more happy things to focus on, which is amazing. That's all I can ask for a year. And I think this honestly has been one of the best years yet. I feel like I really pushed out of the comfort zone this year. I did a lot of firsts for me. I went into a lot of experiences with the feeling of, I don't want to do this, I'm very uncomfortable, this is not me, but I pushed myself to do it because I told myself this is the first time, there's a first time for everything, maybe I'm gonna love it. And of course it feels uncomfortable in the beginning, but at the end I'm gonna come out better, and I know that I did. So I'm really proud of myself for that. It was a difficult year for rotations, it was a difficult year for sub-internships, for interviews, for boards. It was a very difficult year, and I think, again, one of the best years and one of my most accomplished years. So I'm so excited. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for always supporting, all your comments and your love and just everything, your support, your friendship. It's all so amazing and it means the world to me. I only wish the best for you guys as well. Whenever you guys tell me about your experiences and all the good things that are happening to you, it makes me so excited, especially when you're on a similar journey and we can kind of relate to each other in that way. It's incredible. So as much as you guys are here for me, I hope I'm there for you in the same way. And I hope it's been a great year for you as well. Happy holidays. Let's bring the same positive energy, stepping out of our comfort zones, same positive thinking, same good vibes, same good energy into 2026. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next year.